few weeks ago I was told by one of my viewers that they would like to watch my videos even if they were not about Project Zomboid, and I must say it was a very nice thing to say, but I decided to put it into a real test. And I couldn't think of a better test than the amazing Kerbal Space Program, one of the best indie games ever made, which on its own is living through some sort of a renaissance now. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you go into the Steam database and you will see the statistics of games being played, okay, well, Project Zomboid is still far bigger of a game than Kerbal Space Program is, but if you go to page 2 and scroll up a little bit, at number 146, there it is, Kerbal Space Program, with roughly 13,000 people playing right now. Now, okay, this might not seem like a lot, but if you deep dive into the data for Kerbal Space Program, you will notice that actually yesterday, after over a decade, the game hit its all-time peak concurrent players, which is pretty amazing. Now, I wonder what is the reason why all of a sudden people started to play a video game about space exploration programs? Big shout out to Artemis II, the crew, all the engineers, everyone involved in the mission. Amazing stuff. I am really looking forward to more. Pictures are obviously courtesy of NASA. You can look them up at the official NASA website. And before we dive into the game, I should probably just mention that I am having a fair amount of hours already in KSP, so this is not going to be a noob into space type of a video, but I'm also not a pro. So I hope you will have fun. Let's kick it off. As with any space exploration programs, you need to have a set of specific objectives that you would like to accomplish. And here are mine for today's episode. Launch our first rockets, go on a suborbital flight, and reach low Kerbin orbit. And we're gonna try and achieve that in sequence. Every other mission, every other flight is going to be a step towards the final goal, which is going to be orbiting Kerbin on a sustainable orbit by the end of today's episode. Now, the first thing I like to do is farm some easy science points. Science is the base currency used to purchase new technologies, which allow you to build bigger and better rockets. And the easiest way to do so is either to just do some very simple science points farming, which I'm gonna do right now by building a very simple vessel. It's not even a vessel, it's just a capsule. And I'm gonna collect some simple crew and EVA reports from the launch pad, which automatically gives me a little bit of points. Now, the alternative way of getting some science points is by doing missions. Missions are actually pretty important. They give you money, they give you reputation, and also science. All of these are important currencies. We can take 2 missions at the beginning, launch our first vessel, and then escape the atmosphere. Now, my goal for today is to orbit Kerbin, but baby steps, as mentioned before. Now I'm going to be sending Jeb on his first mission. It's going to be a very simple one. We have barely any modules at this point. As you can see, I have almost nothing. Just a few different modules that I can use. There's going to be much more in the future. But for now, it's just going to be a basic rocket strapped to a capsule, and we need a way to land this thing. Where is the utility? There it is. We're going to strap a parachute and some science on top of that, so that we can collect science points while doing the first launch. All right, it looks good. Let's launch it into space. Well, actually, not even space at this point. It's actually flying! Now I'm gonna capture some science experiments. Depending on the area and the altitude, the amount of science points varies. So as you can see, apart from simply just delivering the mission and doing the objectives, I am also able to get some science points. I forgot to adjust the parachute opening altitude. I'm gonna speed up a little bit. Let the parachute open. One thing that I should add is that in this playthrough I do not intend to cheat in any way. So if something doesn't go right with the launch, I do not intend to roll back the game. I will just repeat and just eat the loss. So if any of the Kerbals die, which I hope is not going to happen, but it's likely going to happen, but if any of them die, they will like be gone forever. We got some contracts done. Launch our first vessel. We're getting money, science, and reputation. And we got a bunch of world first milestones. And these early stage are super easy. One thing I really don't like, I wouldn't want this to roll over. I would want it just to like land. Yeah, it's gonna roll over. Please. No, actually it stopped. Good. Okay. We're all good, we're all fine, everyone survived. Mission accomplished. And 35 science gained, which is good. In total we have 35, we gained 17. This is nice. Now the obvious thing to do with the gained science points is to spend them. Spend them on better rockets. As you can see, the early technologies are really cheap. Basic rocketry is just 5 science points. Same thing with engineering 101. We can get a KIS for dummies, but basically all of these things are really important for various different reasons, which I'm not going to be explaining. But yeah, you want to get as powerful rockets as possible. I'm going to go all the way to general rocketry first, because these things are going to be essential for later on exploration of space. So now that the first steps are done, there's going to be a bunch more of new contracts. As you can see, well, quite a lot of them. And the funny thing about these contracts is oftentimes they ask you to test some stuff. So say, for example, there is this PUG liquid fuel engine to be tested at the launch site. Essentially what you're expected to do is just test it at the launch site. Free science points or free money. The PUG engine, there it is. You don't even need to launch it at all. You just have to test it. The way that you do that, you right click on it and you run a test. Mission accomplished. We can all go home. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a few of those more just to get a bit more science points and start building some more serious rockets, which will allow us to reach objective number 3 for today, which is the low Kerbal orbit. Got a few more science points, and I am about ready to purchase another technology, this time survivability. And the reason I'm taking this is because it gives me heat shields. This is something that's pretty essential for any kind of suborbital and orbital flights, because as you probably know, when you're re-entering atmosphere, shit gets really hot. So heat shields are incredibly important. Now, what I would do normally is first test out any kind of a design with an unmanned probe, but I don't have time for that, and I want this to be entertaining, so we're gonna try it with a pilot without doing any kind of a test before. Okay, so we got the parachute, we got the capsule. I'm gonna add some drogues. Drogues are these parachutes that you use to slow down on re-entry. Obviously a heat shield. Maybe a bigger one. This one's not gonna work. Oh, hold on. I gotta put a decoupler first. There we go. Decouple launch chutes. Good. I'm gonna be using a liquid fuel engine which is gonna give me around 1500 delta V. What is delta V? If you're interested in what is delta V, just let me know. I'll explain it better. Or at least I'll try to explain it. Okay, so this is something that should get us much higher than before. I think it's good enough to be named. Let's call it Zomboid Mark 1 on its historic mission. Gonna engage the stability assist systems. I'm gonna put it at max throttle. The engine is ready to go. Okay, we're ready to go. Now this one doesn't have enough power to get us anywhere high. It should, however, be the farthest that we've gone so far. Engine flame out. Well, I was hoping for more, to be honest. Phew. That's pretty pathetic, actually. I think I overdid it with all the different components that I've put on the vessel. So I think I'm gonna try and see if I could potentially salvage this one. Because by design, I was expected to ditch this entire section of the vessel and just land the capsule. But what I'm going to try and do is I am going to try and deploy the chutes and see if they will be able to slow down the entire rocket enough for it to be recovered, because, you know, recovering these components, it's always saving money. The thing is, it's obviously quite heavy, so I'm not sure if it's gonna slow down the entire craft to a speed which will, say, allow it to be recovered. Teh, easy. Well, it didn't do anything in the end, I think, but okay. At least Jeb is alive, that's most important. But I have to figure out a better design, because this one was not powerful enough. And that is probably an understatement. Well, at least I've got a lot of science, which is gonna give me the ability to get more research and new components. Well, time for Zomboid Mark 1 version 2. This time with an additional solid fuel booster before we actually hit the swivel engine. So this one is going to be bigger. This one should be a bit more powerful. I checked the stats on this ship. The thrust to weight ratio looks good. Jeb is about to find out if I have any competency of sending Kerbals to space. Now the main thing I'm worrying in this one is stability, because it's a rather... It's a big vessel and I have very little stability components, because I haven't researched them yet. Alright, so far so good. Oh Jesus! What have I done? Hold on, scrap this. We're gonna come back in a moment. Well, I did manage to land, and oddly enough, I even collected more science, but I think I know what was the mistake. Let's try again. One setback should not stop us in our efforts to conquer space. Okay, I think we're all ready now. Let's go. Now, stability is my main concern. Going through a thick layer of atmosphere. Okay, so far so good. I'm going straight up, which is not great. It's fine now. It's going to be a problem upon re-entry, because it's going to increase the speed at which the capsule is going to drop, and also the heat. So I'm going to give it a moment. Let the vessel gain some altitude. Try and tilt it to one of the sides. Wow, that was a huge zoom out. And start definitely the highest he's ever been. Okay, let's see if I can start tilting the craft a little bit towards the side. I still have to be mindful of a potential loss of control. But it feels more stable. Okay, let me add a bit more thrust. Alright, this is looking nice. Full speed now, full speed. And this is going to be a lovely long flight. The only issue is I don't think we're going to reach a suborbital altitude. But that's fine. I'm going to collect more science because at these altitudes I am getting 0 science. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. 42 kilometers, not high enough. Well, guess we'll have to try again. Maybe with an unmanned probe now, which is obviously a bit lighter, and I can go a bit more crazy with unmanned probes. So, speaking of crazy designs, this is what we're gonna try and launch as the final attempt for today's episode. This is an unmanned probe. It's sitting on top of a thumper booster, and it has a lovely mini engine here that's supposed to help us navigate in space. But the question is if it's gonna go into space. So let's just give it a go. Now, if this attempt is successful, great. If it's not, then I guess we'll have to wait for episode 2 to reach low Kerbal orbit. It's surprisingly steady. I was afraid it's gonna tip over, but it maintains stability and it's still going up. It's still going up. Is it gonna go high enough so that this tiny engine that we have on top of this aircraft is gonna be enough to maneuver? This is the question. Are we gonna go high enough? No, we're not gonna be even close. This is gonna be just a complete failure. Even if I turn on this engine, it's not powerful enough to really maneuver. I would need to have something more powerful. See, this engine is not strong enough to even help the craft tip over. It's tiny little engine. Or maybe, just maybe, let's see. Come on, little guy. You can do it. You can do it. Go, go. No, no, it's not working. Well, I actually didn't notice this engine doesn't have a gimbal. So, effectively what it means, you're not able to maneuver with this engine. So, yeah, well, this design is crap. It's not gonna work. I need to rework this whole thing. I'm just gonna let it crash. But before it crashes, I'm gonna capture as much science as I can. I'm gonna send this science home because I am not recovering this vessel. That's fine. It's okay. Playing Kerbal Space Program is mostly about making mistakes and failing. Let's just see this beautiful crash at the end. Now guys, since I'm about to finish, let me know if you found it interesting. I mean, this is a completely off-brand thing. I am a big fan of Kerbal Space Program. I have still, when I launched the game earlier today, I noticed that my old saves are still there. Successful splashdown. But just to recap, well, I've only managed to achieve one of the goals that were on my list, which is pretty pathetic, but that's okay. I have not played the game for a very long time. But let me know what you think. Maybe you already had a chance to play Kerbal Space Program, or maybe it did pop on your feed due to the recent hype about the game. Really curious to get your opinion, especially considering that probably 95% of you watching know me through my Project Zomboid content. And before we close, just a regular plugin of my Discord, hop on there. It doesn't have a Kerbal Space Program section yet, but who knows, maybe it will have. And obviously a massive shout out to everyone, especially all the channel members, including Blythe, the OG top tiered member. Much appreciated. If you reached this point in the video, you must have liked something, so I would really appreciate if you do leave a like or do leave a comment under the video. It always helps with visibility, getting the videos out there to more viewers. And guys, that's it. As always, I'm Gertrix. Cheers!